Good afternoon, everybody. It looks like we have people joining. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to attend our webinar. We're really excited to have you all here. So just a couple of comments as we go through this webinar. Everyone has been muted. For all questions, please use the Q&A that's available in this webinar section within the meeting, and we will address at the end. And I'm going to go over a little bit of an agenda real quick, nothing too crazy. We're going to talk about the presenters engaging with Crestwood, some updates on the Acumatica front, and then get to the meat and potatoes that everybody's here for, which is 24R1. So on the call today, we have myself, Colleen Schulz. I'm the Director of Client Account Management at Crestwood. Alongside me, we have Lori Bolsinger, who is our Solutions Architect, and Robert Sternberg, our Acumatica Service Director. I'm super excited that they're both joining. You'll be ecstatic once you get to see what they have to show us today. So they will definitely be taking over when I am done. So just a couple areas about engaging with Crestwood for those of you who are familiar with us or are new to us. Just wanted to touch on a couple of things. Our sales team, just know that you have a team that is here to support you. Our sales team is comprised of our account executives, our client account managers, as well as our sales support staff, and we are here to help you every step of the way. So if you're not sure about something, feel free to reach on out. As a friendly reminder to connect with Crestwood's support team, we utilize a support portal. It's built on the Acumatica platform, and you can access it through our website. There is also a URL that your client account manager can provide you with. But our support portal provides a more streamlined approach to communicate with our clients regarding your support needs, as you have other types of needs, whether it's product related, publisher related, or Crestwood related, your client account managers are there to help you with that. But if you don't have access to our support portal, or you're not sure if you do or not, feel free to reach out to your CAM and they can assist you with that access and getting you instructions on how to utilize the portal itself. In addition, we have our payment portal in full swing. We're accepting ACH and credit cards online for payment of invoices if you were not familiar with that. If you don't have access, let us know and we will get our billing team involved to create and get you a login. We're really trying to do a good footprint in reducing some emissions with all that paper, right? Save the trees. So points to talk about on our Crestwood products to bring you up to date. If you're not familiar with our products we offer, we have a full development team that is in the process of making products for our client base. We do sell within not only our client base, but also to the partners and market in their client base. So we are in the full ecosystem on the Acumatica front. We have multiple products, as you can see here, and they're certified by Acumatica. Just want to highlight a couple things as I talk through some of my points here. Auto kitting is a new product that we launched earlier in the year. We did do a webinar on it. You can access that through our website, or if you want to see a more hands-on one-on-one type demo, let us know. Lori's our resident expert when it comes to demoing, so she'll be more than happy to show you how the auto kitting works. In addition, we have an upcoming demo on commissions, which we are super excited about. That is going to be on the 20th, so you can register for that webinar on our website and get a taste of what our commissions module looks like. So with that, enough about the Crestwood side of things. Let's talk about Acumatica. So some updates to provide for those of you who are not familiar with the Acumatica product life cycle. 24R1 was released on March 20th. That's what we will be reviewing today. And it's expected to retire in November, towards the end of November, around the 30th in 2025. So what does that mean for you? That means that you need to start working with your client account manager to get you on the schedule for an upgrade if you're on a version that will be retiring soon. Because if you see on this slide, 23R1 is slated to retire at the end of November 2024. So you just want to make sure that you're on a supported product and we can work with you to get you there. So reach on out. We'll get you in the queue and get things scheduled so you can take advantage of these new features that you're going to see today, which are really exciting. In addition, one of the sites that we recommend clients use is the help@acumatica.com site. If you're not familiar with this site, it provides all the Acumatica documentation online, and it's available to review. You can also download the PDF guides. It's just a nice way to know that you're receiving and getting the latest information as Acumatica is publishing the newest content out there. Just make sure that you access this, and that way you have the latest and greatest information on the documentation. In addition, that is where the release notes are also published. For those of you who remember the days when we didn't have this online portal and we would email you the PDF of the release notes, which now the file is too large to send through email channel, there's a lot of pages, there's a lot of information. So this is just a really nice condensed way that you can have access to that same information. To get to the release notes section, once you are on the help.acumatica.com site, you scroll down to the reference section and then select the release notes. Once you do that, what you will see is that it will then pop up another screen, which has a menu on the left-hand side, and the release notes are organized by function within the system. So for example, like CRM is all together, finance, inventory, and then all you have to do is just select on a topic and the content itself will update into the bulletin that is there in the file. So it's just another way to provide information to you. So if you have any questions on it, let us know. Finally, an update. Acumatica announced this week that support for Authorize.net will be retired. So for those of you who are using Authorize.net inside of Acumatica to process credit card payments, we need to start the conversation about what we're going to do because they are retiring the functionality. And there's 3 specific milestones that I want to address in this announcement. The first one is 24R2 will be the last version that will include support for Authorize.net. So 24R2 is tentatively scheduled to be released later this fall. So just know that that will be the last version that will include support. 25R1, which is tentatively scheduled for a spring release next year, which I can't believe I'm even talking about releases in the spring of next year, but we do know that that's around the time frame that they will be releasing that version. The Authorize.net functionality will no longer be available or supported. So just let's plan accordingly for that. And lastly, on April 1st, that is the end of life for all versions. So no matter what version that you are on, come April 1st of 2025, Authorize.net will not be supported in the platform. So we have, less than a year, but we just want to start being proactive. There's a lot of great solutions in market, including Acumatica Payments that we can work with you on to get you the functionality that you need, all, depending on what version that you have deployed. So let's get those calls on the books. The CAMs will be reaching out to those of you that are on this functionality, so that way we can get a call scheduled and talk through what your options are. Before we head to the demo, a couple other resources I want to point out as useful tools that are available to you. The community site that Acumatica offers, if you don't have access to it, you just need to go to community.acumatica.com and create a login for yourself. And what that will do is, based on the email address that you use, it will connect you with your client account on the Acumatica side. There will also launch and give you accessibility to the Acumatica Open University, which has a lot of great training materials out there, as well as there's an Acumatica YouTube channel. We also have our own YouTube channel at Crestwood, where there's a lot of helpful videos and contents out there. And lastly is our Crestwood blog. If you are not signed up for our Crestwood blog, I highly recommend that you do. We have a great group of resources on our team, ranging from security, Acumatica, Office, anything you can think of related to the Acumatica, Crestwood, and Microsoft ecosystem. We're pushing content out there on a daily basis. Our marketing team does a great job in coordinating and making sure that our experts are providing you with that content. So get out there, sign up for the different blogs that you want to receive articles on, and we'll feed you the information in your inbox. So here are some highlights for the 24R1 release. We're not going to go through all of these items today, but we will touch on a bit from each of the areas, starting with Robert, who I'm super excited is going to be highlighting the new UI, which I think you all will be excited to get a first glance on what that's going to look like from a preview perspective. So please remember to put your questions in the Q&A chat in the meeting. And with that, it's my pleasure to turn this over to Robert and Lori. So Robert, take it away.
Fantastic. Thank you, Colleen. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, perfect.
Fantastic. Well, as Colleen mentioned, my name is Robert Sternberg. I'm the Director of Acumatica Service at Crestwood. I think I've had the pleasure of working with many of you, and I'm excited to kick us off into the world of 2024 R1, beginning with Acumatica's updated user interface. The new UI is available in preview mode, beginning with the 24R1 release, and while it's not yet intended for production use, it's encouraging to see how much progress is being made towards the platform. The new UI is referred to as the modern UI, as opposed to the classic UI today. And Acumatica has roughly 10 base screen types, the most popular being generic inquiries, data entry, and processing screens. That's where we're going to start today, and this base screen type functionality allows Acumatica to make technology changes that not only maintain its modern look and feel, but enhance usability as technology changes as well. The most recent change includes increased performance and capabilities. So throughout this modern UI section of today's webinar, you'll see how the modern UI can increase productivity and reduce onboarding tasks with some of the tools that we will look at together. One of the first screens we're going to look at is a generic inquiry. So let's navigate to the sales order generic inquiry screen in the modern UI. And what you'll notice is in the upper right-hand corner, we see a message letting us know that we're using the modern UI and it's available in a preview state. To switch between the modern UI and the classic UI, Acumatica provides a toggle on each screen, or you can toggle all screens with the modern UI capability inside of the sitemap. As we look at this new updated generic inquiry screen, we immediately see the updated look and feel with modern fonts and rounded corners. Let's look at some of the quick filtering capability, which is snappy in the modern UI as well. So if we imagine that I'm a sales manager, I might want to look at all sales orders that are not yet completed and have a date inside of this quarter. So I'll say is greater than or equal to, quarter start, and apply. Just as quick as that, Acumatica filters my list, and you'll notice how responsive this new UI is. I can also save this filter for later use and share it with my team. Shared filters now appear on a drop-down list in the upper left-hand corner of my screen. You can see two shared filters, the My Sales Orders and the sales order quarter to date filters. A great part about the drop-down list for saved views is the ability to favorite filters as well. So if you have many filters shared across your team or personal filters, you can bring the most important filters to you right at the top of your list. As I navigate into the sales orders quarter to date filter, we see another feature inside of the new UI, which is the advanced filter option. The advanced filter option has been available in prior versions of Acumatica. However, the new version allows a more optimized state, and it allows you to quickly adjust this advanced filter. It includes indentions and a more visual aspect that lets you understand the differences between a standard layout showing all records and the filter that you created. Inside of the new modern UI, you'll notice when I rearrange columns to move my customer ID next to my customer name, the change is immediate. No need to refresh the page. The same goes for resizing columns, so I can resize columns as needed. This remains in the state for my user profile and allows us to continually see something that is reliable and responsive. If I navigate to my All Records filter and open a sales order, what we're going to notice is Acumatica's new use of color within the entry screen, which is the second screen we're going to look at today. In the upper right-hand corner of my screen, I see a totals block. That's now in a blue color, which draws your eye to the most important information. We also see the use of color in our status. So in the past, we've had questions on what is the completed status versus pending, open, and this gives a great visual representation of where we are inside of the workflow. The other difference in the summary section of the modern UI is the ability to separate out different sections. So we see my first section on the left, which contains order information, the second section in the center, which contains customer information, and a third section that contains totals on the right-hand side. This allows a more responsive UI as well to different screen sizes. So as I collapse my screen into what you might see on your phone or iPad, you'll notice those sections stack, and that makes this usable on even smaller screens. As I expand back to my desktop view, I can create a new sales order, and I'll select a customer from my drop-down list. As I select my customer, Acumatica defaults information, and that allows me to move quickly through the order creation process. If I'm missing information, Acumatica now has a new color that demonstrates the area that needs the most attention. So we see shading around the location field. This is much more helpful and draws your eyes immediately to the areas that need attention. As I correct that data, the error is removed, and that makes it easy to navigate on with our order process. In this case, I'll add an item from my drop-down list and close my pop-up panel. We see the new rounded icons appear at the top of the page in a green color to let me know the next recommended action. But let's put ourselves in the state and imagine ourselves as a controller. I might navigate through my tabs to verify that the financial configuration is appropriately configured on our sales orders. In the new modern UI, I can simply drag that financial tab to the front of my tab section. That means I can quickly access the information I need. In fact, if we want to increase the ability to onboard new employees, we can reduce the number of tabs that are available to us. Simply drag the tab into a hidden tab section and clean up your screen. The modern UI's ability to adjust what we see on a screen level does not stop there. We have quite a bit of functionality to determine what is available on our screen and how we interact with the elements through a new option in the gear icon called Screen Configuration. Let's imagine I'm a logistics manager that wants to focus on the ship to information for orders, specifically the ship to states, as they might have additional restrictions on what items we're able to ship to those locations. In the new modern UI, I can identify the center section and make changes using the gear icon. I can drop to many available properties, and in the shipping address section, I can pull over information on whether the address has an override value, as well as the ship to state on the address. In just a couple of clicks, I can see new information available in the center of my screen. If I have security and access rights, I can apply this configuration for my entire team or keep it just for myself. This is a great change, and let's put us in the mind of an operations manager who's looking for even more improvements. Using the screen configuration, I can also remove fields. So I have a project field in the center of my screen, and if that's no longer required by our workforce, I can come into the editor and I can hide that field. Now that I've made some changes in the center section, I might want to be more clear, again, for the purposes of easing onboarding and allow us to be more scalable in the future. This is now going to be our customer and ship to information section. I can add that title and apply the change. Then when I save my changes and use a personal configuration, I have a title for that center section, making it more clear that this is the customer and ship to information. As I navigate through a sales order, I can make quick and easy changes to make navigating in Acumatica more reliable and ease our processes for flexibility for different roles, scalability, easier onboarding, and now available with a more refined format for smaller screens. As we complete this process, we'll use Acumatica's quick process action on this sales order. The quick process action lets us see Acumatica's new UI from a processing perspective, which now allows multiple step processing. In the past, we've been able to quick process sales orders, and in this state, we would create a shipment, confirm that shipment, update our inventory, prepare our invoice, and finally, release our invoice. And Acumatica would show us that process. Now, in the modern UI, it's a streamlined view. Acumatica focuses our attention into the upper right as it performs multiple actions at once and provides links to each document. So we have our shipment, our inventory update, and our invoice created. Once Acumatica finishes processing, it shows green check marks on the 4 documents that it created. This new user interface allows true change in your business without customization. It allows flexibility and allows us to be more efficient throughout the entire process. This new ability will be available inside of a dropdown for non-production use using the Switch to Modern UI function and the Screen Configuration option. Thank you all, and I'll pass it over to Lori so we can learn more about 2024 R1's new features.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Robert. And that was a wonderful overview of the new UI. I'm excited to start playing with that as well. But we're going to go ahead and continue with some of the new features. And I am going to start with a little bit of CRM and specifically case management and showing you some of the new capabilities with that. So let's start with, I am a support technician. I have a new case coming in for one of my customers in here. And I am ready to, they've told me there is some damaged product, and I would like to create this new case in here. Now, a couple of things that have occurred with the new case management. On each case class, I am going to pipe into the type of case class. We have some new options in here as it relates to commitments. On our commitments option, we have always been able to keep track of, depending on the severity of the case, whether it's a high, a low, a medium case, when we are expected to respond, an initial response, some target response time, and then the target resolution time. We've had that. They've now added some new options for initial response extension. What this means is often a case will come in and it might be considered a low priority, but as it's being triaged, maybe through level 1 support, it then decides we need to escalate this to maybe a medium or a high priority. Once it is escalated, this initial response extension or these optional extension times are times that is added to the clock that has already been ticking. It initially says when this first came in, if it's a high priority, I have 15 minutes to respond. But if I change the priority at any time, it will extend it to this amount. So we have some options to be extending it as well. The system will keep count and tell you the exact date and time now to respond, and you have the option of when you want the system to stop that clock countdown as well. You can stop it as soon as the case becomes inactive, or we can choose to provide the case solution within an activity as we are working that case. So I will show you what that looks like in just one moment here. So let's come on in, and we're going to say that they said we have damaged product in here, and we are going to start working this case. Notice because I have set this as a medium priority, it is telling me that my resolution is due right now at this time. So it's giving me the exact date and time that I must resolve it. So we have nicer insights into when it's due based on what was set on the case class in there. A couple of other options in here. If I decide I need to escalate this, and I am going to now make this a high priority case, when I save the severity or my case in here, notice my time is going to change now, saying, well, for high priority cases, we need an initial response that's due, and now I have a resolution time that has been modified as well based on some of those options in there. So being able to have some insights into when we are due with an initial response is certainly helpful in here. So that's one of the first options in there. One other option I would like to mention with that case class, they have added the option to add a work calendar to the case class. What the work calendar allows me to do is define when are we open for business, which means if I get a case that comes in at 5 p.m. on a Friday and I have 4 hours to respond, it will now tell me it needs to be done Monday by 12 noon because it knows which hour I am available as well. So that is also something new, is being able to assign work calendars to specific cases as well. So that will be included in this resolution due as we get some of these options in here. So let me go ahead and start working this case in here. I am first going to create this a phone call, or I have a little activity in here where I'm talking to the customer. So as I'm talking with the customer, I'm asking them a few questions, asking them to, maybe try a reboot or whatever I'm asking them to do. If at any time they say that worked, that was exactly all I needed to do, I am fine. There is now a new option as you're working these activities to say, did this activity provide a solution to this case? By just this quick little check mark, that is going to simplify and ease me tracking my cases and what was actually supplying the resolution. So one more final option in here. I actually never opened the case here or took the case myself, but one more final option in here. We have a choice when we are ready to close the case to make these closure notes required. So that is also a new option on our case classes as well, to say, I am going to require some closure notes for this. Whatever they are, we can require them in here, and that will save that with any closed cases. These were optional in the past. Now this is certainly something that can be required on a case-by-case basis. So a couple new enhancements to ease within case management as well. One more tiny little option I will talk about. We have always had the options within cases to be able to do return orders in here. So if I am going to create a return order. I will do it for that same one as I am working on a case. Give it a quick subject in here. As I'm working on a return order, I will come up into here and I can choose to create a return order. We can pick a return order type. Let's say they're just going to allow them to return this for credit in here. So this is not new, being able to create a return order. But what is new is, number one, it is simpler to search for the invoice that creates this order in here. So a couple things that I can do as I'm searching for an invoice that is related to this. Oftentimes they tell you, you know what, I know exactly what inventory ID. It was this widget in here that is giving me trouble. I can start selecting the specific inventory ID, and it's going to show me all of the AR invoices with that specific inventory ID. So I can even see how many are available to return, ask them for the sales order number, ask them for the invoice number. We're going to have full insight into that, so I can start creating my returns from this as well. So this will help ease in even searching for what invoice is related to this kind of return as well. So that is also working through there, the ease of that as well. Let me head on back to the case. The other issue that we have heard from cases, if my case in here has a return order that's associated with it, how do I know that that return was accepted? When do I know that they've actually returned the items and I am ready to close this case? They have come up with a new inquiry for return orders, where I can see a list of all of my return orders and see whether that return was completed or not. So there is a new inquiry to give us some nice insights into that. So that will be our first little walkthrough of some of our case management. So we can see that we can help track the time a little bit clearer using those work calendars. We have the option to mark when the solution is provided as parts of a case activity, and to extend the time when you're increasing the case severity, as well as requiring case closure notes. So quite a few new enhancements to our case management within CRM. Let's move on to a few little financial requirements or enhancements as well. One of the first options is some approvals. They have added some approval and rejection reasons are now added to many of the financial forms in here. Let me give you one example of one, and I am going into our accounts receivables. I have an approval set up on invoices now for my accounts receivables. One of my approvals that is required is if there's any AR invoice that has a line discount over 50%, I am going to require an approval, which is not something unusual, but something that we can now set at the approval level is to say a reason can be required or prompted or is optional for either approval or rejection of any of these. So we have new options within our approval maps. So let's go ahead and take a look at this let's take a look at this live. So I have an invoice in here that has more than a 50% discount. I threw in this invoice in here that is giving my customer a 60% discount on there. Let's remove this from hold, and we'll see this goes into a pending approval status. If I head over to the approvals tab, it's requiring Jason to approve this. I am logged on as the administrator, Max Baker, so I can go ahead and approve it. Because I had that require any approvals in there and to enter the reason for it, I now am required to enter a reason for this. So whatever my reason, if I can enter it within there. But now that's something new, and we can see that reason code will be saved with our approvals as well. So that has been added to many of the financial forms, including our AR invoice. The approval reason can be required as well. Let's move on to a couple new options within projects and construction as well. And some of our projects and construction is really relayed around some of our pro forma invoices in here. So let me open up my hotels, beach condos, hotels, and construction in here. One of the first new levels of functionality is that you can link expenses to an, an AP bill or link expenses, I'm sorry, to a pro forma invoice. And let me give you a few use cases of when that would be useful in here. We have many customers that have requested that for my vendors, I am working on this project and I have some commitments or some subcontractors here. My subcontractors do work for me and then they give me a bill. In some of my subcontractors, I have a pay when paid clause on that, meaning I first get to invoice my customer for this work that you did for me, and I am not going to pay the vendor or my subcontractor until my customer has paid. So that pay when paid clause is quite popular, seems to be something that's quite common. But in the past, Acumatica was not able to link that AR invoice to bills that are coming in or to expenses to the project. That they have changed right now. So let me go ahead and create an pro forma invoice. So we have that subcontractor here that has completed some work on our specialties on this project task. So I've changed my completed to 75%, and I see I now have a pending invoice amount. When I run project billing to create this pro forma invoice, I will now see a new side panel that says link cost transactions, where I can go through and say, go ahead and add any other bill that has come in related to this project. If I want, I can even relate it to that project task. So I know there was one that came in for specialties, and there was my bill to our Fire National company who did work for me. So I can add and close that and save this link transaction to this pro forma invoice. What that will allow me to do is once this invoice is paid off, then I can verify that against AP bills before I make those AP bills payments. Acumatica has said that this is the beginning of what they are introducing in 24-hour run. In future versions or coming up, they are going to make this more automated to be able to do that, where we will be able to automate that paid when paid, whereas right now you're going to link it, but there's still going to be a little lookup of that, which can be done through GI so that we can look up and see which one of these pro forma invoices have been paid that are linked to those AP bills so we know which AP bills to pay. They are going to make that more automated. And they are also going to allow this to work with substantiated billing. As we are sending these invoices to our customers, we often have to substantiate it with the expenses as well. So they promise to be adding that to future releases as well. So this is just the beginning to start that link. Know that that will be coming a little bit later on. Now, some other options that have also happened within Acumatica is being able to improve the process of doing pro forma invoices corrections in here. So as I'm coming through and looking at a pro forma invoice, if there is something that needs to be, once this is, maybe approved and sent off, and released, if I need to make any sort of correction to this pro forma invoice, there is going to be an easier option to do that as well. So they have created some new options for correcting those pro forma invoices. I will say one more option as it relates to construction, and this is working more with corporate credit cards. We often have seen that we are doing time and expenses. We want to relate them to a project in construction. The option is if I'm using a corporate credit card and I make a return, I was never able to say that I am going to be expecting a refund on that corporate credit card when they are returning that. That is new. That we now have the option for our expense receipts to put in a negative expense receipt, whether you're coding it to a project and a project task or not, but adding a negative expense receipt will help with our corporate credit cards to help do that reconciliation for any kind of refunds that we will be getting with that too. So that is our final kind of construction options within there. I know we have 20 minutes left. I'm going to move on to the next kind of grouping, which is going to be some inventory and order management options in here. Within Acumatica, there has been a new way that we can start working with our inventory planning or replenishment for those of you who are working with distribution and inventory. Now, let me go ahead and show you how it used to work in here. On my stock item, let me open up a typical stock item within Acumatica. In a typical stock item, if you need some replenishment options, you used to have an option which is now called inventory planning in our new one, but you're probably used to seeing this where I can set mins and maxes on any kind of inventory option within here, and then set some safety stock, a reorder point so that we can get up to our max quantity. We have a new option within our distribution to do a different type of planning method. Instead of inventory replenishment, we can use what's called DRP or distribution replenishment planning in here. DRP was a model that was created for our manufacturers only. So if you had the manufacturing module, they called that MRP, Materials Resource Planning or Materials Requirement Planning. That was only available through manufacturing. But this engine was so powerful that they have now brought this in to those of you that are distributors who can take advantage of using DRP. If I switch and say this item, I would like to use DRP, my inventory planning is going to look a little bit differently. I can still set some safety stock, some reorder points from within here, and some other options on what am I going to do in order to replenish this item. So note that that will be different for any item that you choose to use DRP. When I have DRP, I will have this new inventory planning space. Now, this is your one-stop shop for making sure that you have those optimal inventory levels within your system. Something that is new that you will find in distribution is we have the option to add forecasts. Forecasts give you a way to enter a sales forecast. You can enter a sales forecast multiple ways. One way is I can come in here and manually start entering new items that I am planning to sell. I can put this sales forecast at a regular interval to say how much quantity I'm expecting to sell between which dates. We also have the option to make this dependent or not dependent. If I check to make this a dependent forecasted item, that means this will be consumed by actual sales orders that are out there. If I don't choose to make this dependent, this will be in addition to sales orders that are coming in. If I am making it dependent and this is a sales forecast from a specific customer, I can even state what customer that this is being forecasted for as well. So what this would mean is that when Alta Ace decides to purchase 2 of these Keurigs between this date, when I run my DRP, if they had put in a sales order for 2, it's only going to tell me that I need to replenish 2 of these items. It's not going to tell me to replenish 4 because this is being consumed by the demand from actual sales orders that are out there. So these forecasts can be added either manually. I can also export this data to an Excel spreadsheet, which means I can import any kind of forecast from an Excel spreadsheet in here as well. And to make this even more fun, the system can help you generate your forecasts as well. So once you have some history in the system, you can choose to have the system say, what kind of forecast would you like to generate? We can go back to how many years we would like that to look on. We can even do it by customer or not by customer, and we can add a growth rate factor. We can even choose to calculate this by month, but the system can help you intelligently calculate a forecast based on these parameters that you are setting in here as well to assist you with those forecasts as well. So whether you are getting forecasts from your customers and you want to manually enter them, whether you want to use history to help you generate those forecasts, the system has you it all set in here. When I use this regenerate inventory planning, this will help me go through and look at demand. It looks at several sources for demand. Number one, it looks at existing sales orders that are out there. It is also going to look for those forecasts that you have entered. And it's even going to look for those mins and maxes and safety stock levels that you have set on those to give you a just-in-time purchasing and production plan. Now, this is a processing screen. I could manually choose to process. If I need to, I can also add this to a schedule as well so that the system can automate running this. For now, I'm going to regenerate our inventory planning and show you what this will bring you to. So the results of my inventory planning are seen right here in my Create Supply Orders options. So this is telling me the system what I am low on inventory, what I need to stock from within here. It'll also tell me this inventory item is low, which warehouse I need to do this from, which quantity it is saying I need to replenish. It's telling me I should take action by this date in order to meet this promised date. And it's even telling me where it got that demand from. Was it safety stock? Was it because it was a forecasted item? Or something else new, was this part of a kit assembly that needed to be assembled in here? So we have all of those options within here as well to drive demand. So this will be our new inventory planning display to help you keep track of your optimal inventory levels. This was always available for your manufacturing customers using MRP. It is now accessible for the distribution customers as well. So a couple enhancements as it came to that. As we see, it's a very different way of doing things. Notice I could use some native functionality within Acumatica, like I can say, just show me what it's recommending that I purchase. I can even say, just show me what it's recommending I purchase just for my wholesale warehouse, and I can start filtering down to what I need to purchase. Directly from in here, we can go ahead, select the items we need to purchase, and choose to purchase to generate a purchase order. So purchase orders can also be generated from here, as well as transfer orders, and even new now, this also will help you with kit assemblies for any kits that you have within your system as well. So that is our new big news for inventory and order management, is using our new distribution requirement plannings as well. As I look at this, I am going to move on as we're talking about manufacturing to a couple new manufacturing enhancements here as well. For this, I'm going to pipe into a new system. My system does not allow me to have manufacturing along with distribution requirements planning, so I'm going to head into a new system in order to show this to you. One of the newest functionality within manufacturing is the ability to do something called automatic backwards reporting. Let me show you a little bit about what this looks like in here. I have an inventory or production order set in here to create this new assembled widget. There is a new option in here called automatic backwards reporting. This is checked. This is how it has worked prior to 2024 R1 by having automatic backwards reporting selected. I do want to look at the production order details to explain what automatic backwards reporting means. In this assembled widget, I have 3 operations. First, I'm going to assemble the base, which includes these 2 materials I need to assemble. Then I need to assemble the top, which includes these items. And finally, those are going to come together for a final assembly. Now, in previous versions of Acumatica, if I were assembling the base and the top at the same time, I could not say I was completed with operation 20 first until operation 10 has occurred. So it required that you do these operations sequentially. And in fact, if I was going through and say I'm completed with operation 20, and here's the quantity that I completed, it would automatically assume you completed everything in operation 10, though that might not be the case. So with this new functionality, they allow for parallel reporting in here. So we do have the option for parallel operations or operations that can be done at the same time or out of sequence. For that to occur, this automatic backwards reporting must be unchecked if you want the option to report out of sequence. As an aside, this automatic backwards reporting does come from the production order type. Whatever when you have this automatic backward reporting selected on this reporting type, by default, all new production orders of that reporting type will have that either selected or deselected. It could be overwritten at this production order maintenance option from within here. I'm going to go ahead and release this order. And we are going to start this. We have both operation 10 and 20 going on simultaneously, but we're going to create the move transaction. But it wasn't operation 10, it was assembling the top. Those guys were much quicker than we were than the bottoms were, so they finished their quantity. They're ready to just move out of operation 20 and go ahead and release that as well. Once that is released, we have the production order analysis that we can see over on the right-hand side. Notice it does tell me that we are completed with operation 20 without being completed with operation 10. So that is a new functionality in there. So I can have operation 10, then I can go through, create my move transaction for operation 10. So it can be done out of order if need be. So that is probably the newest functionality within manufacturing. A couple other new functionalities within manufacturing does have to go with that inventory planning as well. For those that are using manufacturing, inventory planning is MRP, is what they were calling it. Very similar to what we just saw with DRP. But we have had a few options that we've noticed that regenerating this inventory planning can tend to take some time, especially if you have a lot of demand, a lot of stock items, if you have very intricate bills of materials. This could take some time, and we would always recommend don't do this during production hours or during times that you have a lot of users on, because this could degrade your system performance. There is one new option that has been created on the inventory planning preferences that can assist with that. And this is called my planning horizon. We have heard that oftentimes I might get demand for items that I don't need to replenish or make for another year. And as I run my inventory planning, this will go through and look at everything all the way out to as long as the demand is driven within the system. This planning horizon, if this is equal to 0, it will continue to do that. It's going to plan for all of the demand in the system. Now I have the option to say, I want you to plan for today plus demand 90 days out from today in here. So choosing this planning horizon is not going to look at items in the future, and that could speed up your processing of running MRP. So that's another new functionality from there as well. So we have gone through some new functionality with inventory and order management, some projects, a little bit of finance. We talked a lot about case management within the last 5 minutes. the newest functionality that we haven't talked about was our retail commerce. This is not something I can demo, but this is something super exciting that we now have. Acumatica has a native integration with Amazon. In previous versions or up until 24R1, our integration with Amazon, and this is for you folks that are selling on Amazon, either FBA fulfilled by Amazon, or if you're fulfilled by merchant sellers, we now have this integration within Acumatica that is directly in the core of Acumatica. Prior to 24R1, this was in what they called a managed release in there, which was kind of a fancy word for it. It was for beta testers. This was very difficult to come up with this integration with Amazon because Amazon does not supply any integrations to a demo or to a sandbox environment. It can only be hooked up to live Amazon environments. So we had lots of folks in our managed availability program to help with this. And now it's ready for the prime time and it is included in here. We'll give you just some highlights of what this does. This will not only link your stock items within Acumatica and push those out to Amazon and vice versa. We have the option to being able to sync between your stock items. But more importantly, in one of the largest, and of course, it's going to bring in like your import orders. It's going to export shipments, export product availability, import your Amazon payments and fees. But it's going to really help with your back office operations. We have heard from more than one of our Amazon customers that it is taking them to reconcile their Amazon fees and to reconcile those Amazon bills. That has taken them sometimes days and multiple people in order to reconcile their fees from Amazon. We are now hearing with this that is taking closer to hours in order to do that, sometimes even minutes. So we have the option to then help with those reconciliation. There is some automation or auto matching as you import your Amazon payments and fees. We can auto match it to what's in Amazon, and there is even a way to take a look at any exceptions reporting. So anything it did not match to, so that you can just work with the exceptions as well. So that is the final new 24R1 new release that we will be highlighting today. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Colleen to see if we have any questions.
Thanks, Lori. Yeah, I think there were a couple questions in the Q&A we were able to address and answer. So appreciate everybody joining today. There is another poll that we have pushed out there. Appreciate you providing your response to that poll. And this recording will be available. You will get an email tomorrow with a link to the recording, as well as we will be publishing it out onto our YouTube site. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and we really appreciate you attending our webinar and joining today. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care, everybody.